Hello, welcome to Community Corner. I'm David with my co-host.
I'm Ryan Nicholas Ray.
And we are here with a guy from Wawa. He's known to us as Coach. Please welcome Steve Vinson. Hello, Steve.
How you doing, David?
Hello, Steve.
Ryan?
How are you, my friend? How are you, my friend?
Please, Steve, tell us about your life.
Ooh, that's pretty general. Well, I'm married, recently married. I have 2 kids. I guess we could consider her kids. That's 5 kids and 5 grandkids. I started working for RARA in year 2000, and I do a lot of work with the special needs group.
Well, very interesting, Steve. And who are your parents and what are their names?
Well, I'm a parent, Irene Vinson, and she lives in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. My father's deceased, but that would be Robert Vinson.
Very sorry for your father.
That's fine, but I moved here with my wife at the time, and son and daughter, in 1978. So I've been in Michigan actually longer than I was in Columbus, Ohio.
Do you have any sisters or brothers?
Oh yeah, lots of them.
Can you name the names?
Sure. I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters. And I'm kind of in the middle, so a large family. Charlotte, Linda, Robert, Larry, Paul, Eddie, Ella, and Teresa.
Where did you live growing up?
In Columbus, Ohio. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. Job I had relocated me to Cleveland, so I lived in Cleveland for about 6 months, and then I moved here to Michigan.
What schools did you attend in Ohio?
Well, in elementary school, it was Fulton Elementary, and then I went to Mohawk Junior High, and then I went to South High School, then I went to Franklin University, which is it's not a real popular name, but it's a business school in downtown Columbus, and most people worked the job and then they would go to school. So it wasn't like a Michigan or where you go to school during the day. Most people went in the evening after they worked.
What kind of hobbies and interests do you have back then in Ohio?
Hobbies? I've always loved sports. I've always done something with
What kind of sports?
With sports. All of them. I played basketball, softball, baseball, flag football. Always coached. Normally they were work teams, and then I coached little league teams. I coached my son for several years, and then most recently I started, coaching the special needs community.
What activities did you participate in growing up?
Activities? I was kind of a rebel rouser, David. I got in a lot of trouble with that. Well, I challenged some things. I don't know. Well, I know both of you are kind of familiar with the '60s because we talked about music and common interests in music and the Motown sound and all that good stuff.
What kind of music of Motown?
Well, Stevie Wonder and the Supremes and Temptations and all that good stuff. But when you go back to the '60s, when I grew up, I was born in 1950. So it's the '60s history will probably suggest that it might have been the most interesting decade to grow up in. You had a lot going on, civil rights movements, you had these college unrest, you had riots that was going on, you had Vietnam War, you had a lot of things, even in sports, in the '60s, you had kind of like dynasties, the Yankees were always the best, or Boston Celtics were always the best. UCLA was always the best. Huh?
How about the Detroit Tigers?
Well, the Tigers did win the championship in '68, but the Tigers were mostly just good that year. Some of these other teams were good for several years.
Whoa.
So it was a very interesting, very challenging period. A lot of things was going on in the '60s. You had hippies, all that Woodstock came shortly thereafter. You had a lot of things going on in the '60s, and so people challenged authority, so to speak. So if it's this way, why does it have to be that way? And I was one of those people.
Now I turn to my co-host, Ryan.
Thank you, David. Steve, now, what does RARA stand for?
Rochester Avon Recreation Authority.
Now, why were you interested in the adaptive programs?
Well, I started out working with the adaptive community in Troy, and one of the ladies that you both know well, Marcy, had worked at Troy, and then she got a promotion and start work or a new job in RARA, and asked me if I would, start doing some programs there. So it was just a continuation of what we've been doing in Troy.
Now, why were you interested in working with people with disabilities?
Well, Ryan, I left the full-time workforce. God blessed me to be able to leave in 1997. So I was kind of looking for something to do because I was getting a little bored. I did a little traveling and so on. And so anyway, I had a girlfriend at the time, a lady friend, who had a child with a teenager with Downs. And so I had gotten used to her. We had a lot of fun. She was just very special to me, honest. She didn't have a lot of ego. Okay, I mean, she didn't pretend about stuff. So we were able to interact really well. So when the opportunity came up to work with special needs community in Troy, sure, absolutely. And then it came up. So the reason I like to do it, I found it to be very satisfying because, first of all, most people I work with are very appreciative. It's far more rewarding when you can see a smile on a person's face and you've kind of helped them, or they tell you they've helped them. You don't necessarily get that in the workforce. Appreciative, they're honest. I get along with the parents well. So those are a lot of the reasons. I learned something all the time.
Okay.
And the thing of it is, I kind of get credit that I'm teaching them something, but what people don't realize a lot is I learn things, Ryan, and I learned to, to think, just think all the time, think openly. Can I share one experience with you, just maybe to give you an idea? One time I had a situation, we're out for diners night.
Mm-hmm.
And the server on the menu was chicken fingers, and the server came along and said, asked one of the young people, what do you want to eat? And he said, he said, how many chicken fingers is it?
Mm-hmm.
And the server said, I don't know, 5 or 6. So the young man said, okay, bring me the one with 6. See, like there was an option. The server was really saying it wasn't, he didn't know. But if you're asking me the question, do you want 5 or 6? Then I want the 6. See, so that's really smart. That's really thinking. And so I learned that, stay on my toes. And so that's a good thing for me.
Okay. Now,
Now, Steve, how did you get started in Wawa?
Well, I was doing it in Troy, and then Marcy we had just started this basketball program. RARA already had certain things like movie pizza. I believe they had bowling. They had diners night, and they had the holiday dances, but they didn't have basketball. And I guess that's what I was best at. And so they asked me would I start the basketball program. And so we started that in 2000. And now it's grown from an instructional basketball thing to really a league. We have our own league with 6 teams. We play, we keep stats, we keep scores. It's really, really a nice, turned out to be a really nice thing. So that's how I got started with basketball.
Who mentored you and taught you about Wawa?
I mean, I'd heard of RARA because I've lived in Troy, for 20 plus years. And so, but I didn't start doing the programs until 2000 when Marcy asked me to. And I've been doing them ever since.
Ryan?
Steve, now, What did you go through to get your job at RARA?
Well, I think it was, I worked with Marcy at Troy, so, we kind of knew each other, so it wasn't like a typical, interview, like you go in and sit down. She kind of knew what I could do, and I kind of knew what to expect. And as a matter of fact, a couple of very special people was in those first basketball programs, but that would be the U2. So, and that was the first encounter. So we just kind of talked about what she wants to accomplish by this, and we went rolling with it. Got a gym and set up times, and we were on.
Tell us about your sports resume.
Well, in addition to currently some of the things I do with RARA, I coach girls softball with Country Day, Detroit Country Day. Of course, that's kind of just from March to June if we go far into the playoffs. I also coach a special needs team in Special Olympics softball. It's an organization called On My Own. You may be familiar with it. They're here in Troy. Some really delightful individuals, and we've done quite well. In fact, we won gold medals 3 years in a row, if I can plug that. But so those are the things, in addition to the RARA stuff, so those are the three primary things I'm doing that involves RARA or special needs individuals.
Give us details, like how did you get into sports?
Well, where I grew up, Ryan, it wasn't much choice. I mean, I'm from very modest background. A lot of kids in the neighborhood, not many dads. I didn't really grow up with my dad, and that's what we did. You played sports. That's what we did all the time. We didn't have much money to go places. I mean, it wasn't any going skiing or boating or whatever, so we played anything that had a ball.
Really?
Yeah, kickball, baseball, basketball, football. That's what we did.
So your dad, so your father, but your dad never took anywhere?
Well, my dad left the family when I was probably 5, so I don't have a lot of recollection of him. I was probably 5.
Now, what does the word recollection mean?
Well, it's just not much to say because he wasn't around. From growing up, my mother and my brothers, my older brothers and sisters, and my mother and some neighborhood people. See, back then it was a little different. People. This is old. This is when I say old school. This is where I'm going. Neighbors help raise you. See, back then, and that's a little different for you, young man. A neighbor could chastise you or whoop you if they saw you doing wrong. People can't even whip their own kids nowadays, but back then, if a neighbor saw you doing wrong, they would whoop you. And then they would tell you,
whoop?
Huh?
What is whoop mean?
Oh, a spanking, a punishment.
Yeah.
And it wasn't always with the hand, it was switches and this is stuff y'all wouldn't know anything about. Your mom and dad might know something about it, but you won't know much about it.
What is a switch?
A switch?
Yeah.
They would come from certain trees, and it's like a branch, a real thin branch.
Okay.
But you tear it off the tree and you take off the leaves, but it wasn't a hard branch, it was a soft, and it would almost like wrap around your leg, and it would leave a welt mark, like a, and so that was popular, and parents would send you to get your own switch. So you couldn't come back with a little tiny one because they go get a bigger one. So that was the way it was then. We got whoopings, we got punishment with switches and broomsticks and everything else. 9 kids, and all of us kind of hard-headed, and just my mom, she had to be tough. She was a tough woman.
She was?
Yes, she was.
Like how tough was she? Was she strict? Did she have rules like a curfew?
Absolutely. And of course, with 9, we broke them. And so then she, she would have to do her disciplinary thing.
I know.
Now, Steve, what made you become this type of worker with special needs?
Well, David, I just, I don't know, maybe because I was one of 9, I've always enjoyed people, and I've always enjoyed sports. So RARA just gives me the opportunity to kind of mix, those sports with people. And not everything I do is sports, because a lot of the programs, Movie Pizza has nothing to do with sports really. Bingo, which we just started, I guess it's kind of sport in a way. Diners, not much to do with sport. We might talk about sports, but it's not sports based. The dances aren't sports based. But RARA gives me the opportunity to work with people, and a lot of it has something to do with sports. And so those are 2 things I love.
Okay, the next question ties into the following question. How difficult it is to work with people with disabilities?
How difficult?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't found it to be difficult at all.
In what way?
That's my experience. I found it to be very joyous. I don't think that my experience could be different from others. I haven't found it to be difficult at all. I'm kind of a routine guy too. I like my routines, and I think
what
a lot.
What routines?
Well, when you do something in a certain sequence all the time. You might get up in the morning and you say, okay, first thing I do is shave, and then I go make coffee, and then I drink juice, and you do things kind of repetitive, the same each day. I'm a very routine person. So, and I know this young lady that I met who was down, she was very routine. It's when you took her out of her routine, then it would throw off a little bit. But she was so honest and so affectionate, okay, so appreciative of everything. When we had, when I was, dating her mom, we had such a wonderful relationship. So I was eager to get involved once I was given the opportunity to work with the special needs community, but I haven't found it to be difficult at all.
What was the funniest thing that happened to you at a Wawa event?
Funniest thing at a RARA event. I know the scariest one was at a diner's night when we couldn't find this girl. She walked off. We was at.
What was her name?
Oh, I don't know if we want to say her name.
It was Kate Motrell.
Oh, you know that. You remember
Kate
that?
Motrell.
Huh? Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, we was out at Rainforest.
Rainforest Cafe, and she was looking for her.
Yeah.
And apparently you had to call the security guard because apparently Kate was ran off and she left and wouldn't come back.
And my heart just stopped beating, David, for a while. Funniest thing. This is a real. Let me see. Funniest thing. Well, one of the things was funny at RARA. There's been funny things. That the couple that jumped in my mind was actually in Troy. And I don't know how funny it is to you, but again, it was that learning experience. I had a young man. We were playing basketball.
Okay.
Afterwards, now he's like 40-something. This is the first time he had come. After we finished, he went into the locker room because Troy is at the community center. They have a locker room. So we came out. We couldn't find him. So his mother said, well, he might be in the locker room hiding. He might be a little embarrassed. Anyway, I go in the locker room, okay? So he's in there, I don't know if I can say this on air, but he's in there like naked, buck naked, okay? He had taken a shower, right?
Okay.
So I said, I'm not going to say his name. So I said, well, you took a shower? He said, yeah. Well, and we had just finished playing basketball. But I said, well, I didn't see you bring a towel or anything when you came to the gym. He said, I didn't. I said, so what are you going to dry yourself with? So he looked at me like, his look to me was like, and they put you in charge of all of us? He said, paper towels. Okay? He's going to dry.
Good boy,
Well, now wait a minute. Think about it, though. If you go to the restroom, what do you use to dry your hands?
I use paper towel or tissue paper, whatever available.
Paper, yeah. So in my head, I'm thinking I would never use paper towels to dry off my whole body.
Never?
But if that's all you have, that's pretty smart, isn't it?
It is.
So not that was funny, but it's that thought process that amazes me.
How dramatic was your graduation?
How what?
How dramatic was your graduation?
Dramatic was my graduation?
Yeah.
From college?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, not much at all. This was, like I said, it was a downtown school, David. So it wasn't like a 4-year college where you go live on campus or I kind of went from home. I was married at the time. I was just so happy to get my little piece of paper, walk. It wasn't nothing to it all. It was just a very brief thing.
All right. If you could go back into your life, what would it be if you could change or make better?
If I could change or make better?
Yeah. If you go back and if you could change something, you go back and change something in your life, make it better.
Well, quite honestly, you can see my shirt that I have on, and this is, I would get closer to God sooner. That's the recent. I mean, my mother forced us to go to church when we were young, but I just went because she made us go. I read the Bible, but I never studied it until recently. Actually, I'm a certified evangelist, which has nothing to do with this show. But, I would certainly get to know God a lot sooner in my life. Other things I would do, I probably wouldn't build this show because I don't like cold weather too much. It's getting ready to come, but I probably would seek out a warmer climate. But see, there's plans for us, and we don't always in control. I think there's a Heavenly Father that has plans for us. I am where I'm supposed to be right now because that's what He does. He puts us where we're supposed to be.
Now, what is your favorite RARA event?
Oh, definitely basketball.
Now, why is that? Why is it your favorite event? Please tell us.
Well, you've read things and you've heard about Michigan, and some of us carry extra pound or two, okay? And so it's a good form of exercise, okay? You can see skills develop, and that's important for me. It's basketball, and that's my favorite sport. So it has some makings there, and people think. I'm not the easiest coach now. Sometimes I'll get on. We've been on the floor together.
You yell at me a lot.
I will yell, okay? But I'm not gonna. I really don't look at anybody's disability.
You don't score anyone.
I look at your ability, okay? And I know all young people and older people too, not just young people, but especially young people. Sometimes we don't. We're not motivated. We're kind of lazy. We don't reach our potential. My job is to push you there. So I'm not the. I'll do some patting on the back, but I don't mind kicking the butt every now and then either.
Now, what is your favorite thing to do?
My favorite thing to do?
Yeah, please tell us some details. Please give us some details.
That's my favorite would be with my grandkids, which I have 2. That's probably my absolute favorite thing to do. But I love my life right now. I'm very active at church. I teach Sunday school. I told you I'm an evangelist.
Oh, you do?
I'm very active. I teach a teen class. We had a summer youth camp this year, similar to SCAMP, which you guys are familiar with.
And I was a volunteer of.
Right. Okay.
Me too.
So I have a good life. I have my friends at RARA and church. So I'm working with a lot of young people, and I love what I do.
Now, where did you go to college?
Franklin University in Columbus, Ohio.
Now, where did you go to college?
The name of the university is Franklin University,
Okay.
and it's in Columbus, Ohio.
What did you study in college?
Business administration.
What did your job in college prepare you to do?
I've been blessed, Ryan. I've had some really good jobs. I worked at a children's hospital in Columbus, Ohio for 7 years.
What kinds of things did you do at the children's hospital? Did you help kids? Did you do medicine and things?
That was kind of a basic job. I was in a department called Central Transport and Messenger Service. So we did a lot of things that the doctors and nurses didn't have time for, like take patients from the room to a testing area,
Okay.
or deliver some drugs that, you know, instead of pharmacy doing it, we would do it quicker and so on. So, but in my business career, I retired at what I call retirement in 1997 from Kelly Services. They're an international temporary help firm, and I worked there 14 years and did quite well. Made a couple of dollars, and I had my kids when I was young, and they were off in school, so I stopped working full time in 1997.
Hey, Ryan, I'm dying to say this to Steve.
Okay.
Steve, what is your favorite pop and why?
My favorite pop?
Yeah, please say Mountain Dew.
Okay. Favorite pop? You know, I really don't drink very much pop. You guys know I'm trying to get us off that pop into juice for these events that we do because it's a little bit healthier.
I know that.
I guess if you ask me right now, if you got some pop off stage and you say, what do you want? I would probably say root beer. But, you know, I'm not that particular. Coke, Sprite, I don't drink that much pop.
I got a question for you, Steve. What is your favorite sports team and why?
It had to be the Pistons.
Why?
Well, again, basketball's my favorite sport. They win. You know, it helps to follow a winner. We all kind of like winners.
Now, who was your favorite player on the Pistons
Favorite player?
team? Yeah.
I don't. I kind of like them all. I don't know if I have a favorite player. One of my favorite players, past Piston, is Isaiah and Joe Dumars.
My favorites are Jason Prince, Chauncey Billups, and the person met Jason and the new guy from San Antonio, Nasir Muhammad.
Oh, you met them?
Yes, I did, in Premier Bread.
Okay, but never. Yeah, I've seen a couple of them in the neighborhood. I know Rick Mahorn fairly well, but he's retired. I don't know if any of them stand out as my favorite. I probably would pick Chauncey, I guess, or Tayshaun.
Chauncey Billups.
What is your favorite movie and why?
Favorite movie? Wow. I just saw American Gangster recently
Oh, right on.
with Denzel and Russell Crowe, and I like that. My favorite movie? I have to say The Godfather is my favorite movie of all
Godfather,
time.
Marlon Brando, and Al Pacino.
Yeah, Keaton.
Yeah,
That was a classic.
It was loaded.
Marlon
My
Brando.
favorite
James
is
Caan.
dialogues. What is your favorite color? Mine is black.
Is it?
Yeah.
My favorite
I
color-
love leather.
My favorite color would have to be green because I love other things, everything green.
Like Irish.
That's
Irish,
Green
that's right.
is the color, right? Irish in the color of money, right?
That's right, money in the world.
Yeah, and black, I can live with black. Black is
Well, Steve, my
good.
question for you is, who is your favorite news anchor and why?
Ooh, I love the 60 Minutes program.
Okay.
And I don't know if I have a favorite anchor. And local, to be honest, I don't watch much. You know what I watch a lot of?
What?
ESPN guys. You know?
ESPN?
I don't
Oh,
know if
my
that
God.
qualifies as news, but I love Stuart Scott.
Well, thank you for listening to the Community Corner with Steve Vinson, known as Coach from Wawa. I'm DeWitt Taylor.
I'm Ryan Nicholas Gray. And we'll see
And our former director, Amy Connick Castle.